Good afternoon and welcome to our final Gratituesday webinar. My name is Nicole Hankwitz and I am the Major Gifts Officer here at McLaren Greater Lansing Foundation. Many of you have followed us for the past 7 months as we've interviewed members in our community, like clinical staff, McLaren Hospital leadership, our foundation donors, and community leaders. Many of you remember that our very first webinar was with McLaren President and CEO, Kirk. He spoke to Lynn about the construction of our new healthcare campus in Lansing, and today we will get an update from Kirk and Pete Kramer, owner and CEO of Kramer Management Group. With that, I will pass it off to Foundation Vice President Lynn Griffor to chat with Kirk and Pete.
Well, thank you, Nicole, and welcome, Kirk and Pete. I'm so happy to be speaking to you on our final webinar and kind of coming full circle, talking about the project as we saw it 7 months ago and as we see it now upon completion. So before we dig into the construction project, I did want to give a little bit of a foundation update from the last time that we spoke. Back last May, the foundation was kind of clawing our way to the $5 million mark towards our $10 million capital campaign goal. And I am happy to report that today we are over 7 million towards that goal. So we are proud to be part of the project, and we're very happy to be able to contribute the funds that really kind of give the healthcare campus an extra special touch. I also am extremely proud that with that $7 million in commitments, that includes about 225 brand new donors and about 100 corporate donors. So our business community has really embraced the foundation and their support of this project, and could not have done it without all of that support. So big thanks to our community. So I think to start things off, we're going to take kind of a look back on what the campus looked like last May and what it looks like today. And Pete, if you don't mind kind of starting us off and telling us what the last few weeks have looked like at the construction site.
Well, through the end of calendar year 21, we really have been in a major push for completing the hard construction activities. They're still averaging 350 tradespepeople on site between the hospital and the medical services building and the cancer center. And then we're actually knee deep in the renovations of the new wellness pavilion. So 350 plus tradespeople really worked hard through the end of the year and are continuing through January to bring the construction activities to completion. And layered right in on top of that are truckloads and truckloads of clinical equipment, technologies, audiovisual equipment, everything down to trash bins are starting to come in to the building. So you have everything from construction to finished products. We even have artwork already hanging in the facility. So it's just a magnificent time on a project like this, when both construction activities and what we call activation activities coexist in bringing nearly 850,000 square feet of building to life here. It's an incredibly exciting time.
Yeah, there's definitely a different vibe when you're on the campus these days. It's excitement. It's a little bit of kind of craziness because, like you said, there's just so much happening every day there. So I would like to ask both of you a couple of questions to you guys can kind of piggyback back and forth with your answers, but I would like to know both what excites you about this project the most, because I'm sure there's many things, and also what keeps you up at night.
You want me to take this one first, Pete?
Please.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm glad that we both got the blue collared shirt memo this morning, coordinated well. And thanks for having me. The foundation's continuing to do a great job here for McLaren Greater Lansing. As you indicated at the outset, everything that you've been able to do in spite of a pandemic has been phenomenal. And so we really appreciate everything you're doing. What excites me about the project, from the outset, it was all about the fact that this has been designed from the ground up, really with clinicians and input from the community and input from our support staff And so the finished product that you're going to see come March of this next year is something that is going to be really unheard of for a region like this when it comes to the delivery of healthcare. And so that's something that I'm most excited about anytime we do a tour or we take people onto this new campus, what that all means, and that it was very wisely and smartly designed to really be able to help take better care of patients. And I think the thing that keeps me up at night, there's two things. One is that the project gets done on time, but I don't have to worry about that because we have Kramer Management, our owner's representative, who's done a phenomenal job through all of this, getting this to the finish line. And that's a worry I haven't had for some time, frankly, but I had to throw that out there. The other is, we're moving to a new location that's going to be right in the heart of a large population center here in the Lansing region. And we're going to see a lot of volume coming through our doors. And the one thing I want to make sure that we're able to do, because we've spent the last 3.5 years not just building this, but building service lines and how we take care of patients, how we take better care of patients, that we're going to be able to accommodate that just based on the volumes. And so that, it's a legitimate concern. We continue to make sure that we're trying to have everything that we have in terms of resources, including human resources, ready to go when we open the doors.
Yeah, echo what Kirk said. For me, the project's exciting because I've been working on this thing personally for nearly 8 years. When you go back to how this project was initiated, it was just a twinkle in a few people's eye at that time, forging a new relationship with Michigan State, trying to find how can McLaren best produce healthcare services in this region, given their long 100+ year standing in the community. How do we reinvent ourselves and position ourselves for the future here? And it's very rare for somebody like me to be involved in a project that early in the development of the concept. And so all the way from the initial statement of interest between Michigan State and McLaren to initiate this process, me and my company have been blessed to be able to partner with McLaren to help bring this to fruition. So for me, that's one of the very unique things about this project, and it's so exciting to be able to do it in the town that you live. So those things just those stars don't line up in a career very often, and it just takes on a new sense of excitement for me. And with that, just because you've been involved so long, what keeps me up at night is just being able to close the deal and bring this thing home so that McLaren can achieve all the goals that you want to achieve. And so really, we've been really fortunate to have on a project of this size, $600 million in this region. We've been very fortunate to have best-in-class partners involved at every step of the way. And from our local trade contractors, construction managers, designers, we've really assembled a team here that's able to rise up and meet any challenge. The part that keeps you awake is the continuous unknowns that have stemmed out of the last 2 years of this project, from access to resources and labor, materials, and just the human capital of bringing these things all together. So this is not a cakewalk. It's not an easy project, and bringing it home will lead to many sleepless nights, but we have the right team in place to bring it home.
Wonderful. Well, one of the things that I get asked about most often, and that I personally find fascinating, is the actual process of moving staff and patients and equipment from not only one campus to another, but from 2 campuses to 1 campus.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think that's a gradual process, that's going to happen over weeks or months. But Kirk, can you tell us a little bit about how that all happens and the timing of all that?
Yeah, sure. And it really is a culmination when you think about it, because this has been years in the planning. So in addition to planning the building of the new footprint, there's been a lot of planning that has to go into, we have 2 existing footprints, 2 existing cultures that have been embedded for a long time. And it's learning what the those workflows look like in the existing structures, and then how those translate into the new campus. And so for us, it's really about doing process mapping for each and every department in both of the existing hospitals and what that's going to look like in the new hospital, the new campus. And then that results in kind of this day in the life of training. So every staff member is going to be going over there to learn things like, it may seem minimal or minuscule, but where do I park when I come to the campus? What door do I come in when I enter to come to my respective work area? Where do I hang my coat? Most importantly, where's the cafeteria? That seems to be everybody's biggest concern. But I mean, and again, that may sound minimal, but it is very important when you're coming to work for the first day. Those are the things you want to learn when you're a new employee. But everybody's going to have to learn that. Everybody from our physicians and medical staff to our support staff members, where their supplies are going to be located, how many times I'm going to have to make trips back and forth to those respective areas, where the rooms are going to, that I'm going to be taking care of patients, how are we going to handle a patient that just came out of surgery. All of those things, it's going to be a different environment, and it's going to be a learning environment. So for the first few weeks after we move, there's still going to be a lot of education as a result of that. There's a lot of new technology. And so everything from new equipment to support equipment and things like that, where we have to train employees and educate them on what that's going to look like. Everything from new communication devices, all of those things we have to take through a series of trainings over the next few months. And so this has been years in planning over the next few months as we transition to the new hospital. Then it gets into really hands-on training. And then as that's going to actually look like on the day that we move patients from both campuses. And so for the weeks leading up to that move, we start to turn volume a little bit on the types of elective cases we're doing, so that we can decrease the numbers that are going to be in our hospital for inpatient surgeries, so that when we do move, we don't have a very large number. We're still going to have a large number. We're talking 100 to 150 patients probably in that one weekend that we'll be moving over the course of one day. And so there's a lot of work that goes into those that are going to be on the giving end of those patients to those that are going to be on the receiving end. And whether it's a mobile intensive care unit, an ambulance unit, a basic support unit that's going to be transporting them, all of that's going to have to come into play.
One of the things, and Pete, you kind of alluded to this, that's exciting about this project is just kind of the blossoming relationship between McLaren and Michigan State University. For the foundation, we've been really excited about Mel and JoJo Tucker and their involvement with us. They hosted our golf outing this year and are getting involved in some other initiatives with us. But what has the partnership with MSU, how is that kind of continue to blossom and change as we get closer and closer to the opening of the new hospital? I guess this is for you, Kirk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You said Pete. All right. So as I indicated before, there's a lot of this that's been bricks and mortar, and the design from our clinical staff has been about bricks and mortar and workflows and how that's going to look. At the same time, we've been continuing to work on our key service lines. One of those being the Carmanos Cancer Institute and our affiliation with Michigan State University around oncology services. And so, we've kind of reached a definitive agreement on how that's going to look in the world of oncology services. And so we have a very close relationship with Michigan State there, whereby we'll be focusing on innovation, research, and really about patient care, the way that it's going to be taken care of in the new Cancer Institute, which is really bringing care to the patient in a pod concept. We think this is going to be something that's a deliverable in mid-Michigan that nobody else has to offer. We think the fact that we're doing this with Michigan State and their talented oncology group is going to be even that much better as we put all of our pieces together. And so I think that's one particular area that I feel really good about as we transition to the new campus. We have a partnership in our imaging services. And so we're going to be bringing the best of both worlds together, again, from technology to innovation to access for patients to research, and more importantly, doing it in a cost-effective way that we believe is going to be something that is a great deliverable for this community, and that's something that hasn't been there before. And so those are two of the big primary areas. We'll continue to work on heart and vascular services. We're in the process of developing a very robust vascular program. We want to call it best in class as we evolve over the next few years. And then again, in all of those areas with the university, the opportunity for research and the development of all of our graduate medical education programs and medical students and whatnot, because of the way we've got the new outpatient care center designed to be able to accommodate what I would say the ability to recruit some of the top tier talent from all over the country for these residence programs and medical students into the university. And so I feel really good about that and the collaboration and the efforts that we've been putting forth with Michigan State over the last few years.
Absolutely. Well, getting back to the construction project a little bit, Pete, I'm curious from you if the kind of uptick, this winter uptick in COVID cases in Michigan has affected construction or had any other type of impact on the project.
You know, we've been pretty fortunate. Again, I mentioned that our team members, construction managers on the project, Bart Mello Crispin on the hospital and Granger on the medical services building, wellness pavilion, and the parking structure. And both of those companies really have done a phenomenal job of managing our labor resources to the best of their ability. And so far, we've really been able to weather the storm fairly well. We'll lose a few people every once in a while due to a contact situation, but the trades have really doubled down their effort to make sure that we have the right resources on the job to bring the project in on schedule. The Michigan Building Trades are a great partner for us across the state, and so they've been when we call for labor, they've been able to shore up our resources and get us over this hump. We do have a few issues, as everyone is in the country, with supplies, and we continue to chase those products down every day, making calls to try and get stuff. And we have, a few areas that we have to throw something temporary in to get it to the right level of completion while we wait permanent things. It just becomes second nature and just a necessity of doing our job today. So good partners let you weather these kind of storms.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of good partners, what a nice segue. I did want to make sure to not go too far into this webinar, Pete, without thanking you and your wife, Stephanie, not only for being donors to the capital campaign, but really helping with the foundation in many, many regards. Stephanie was integral in us getting our Women's Giving Circle up and running, which has become an extremely popular way that women in this community can contribute to McLaren. And so thanks to both of you for that. And I guess I'm curious if outside of your professional connection to McLaren through the project and other things that you've done, is there any type of personal connection?
Oh gosh, always. You don't grow up and live in a community for many years like we have and not have a lot of opportunities to come in contact with the healthcare provider. So boy, we've had everything from cancer treatments there with family members to a lot of orthopedic work in my family. We've gone through lots of different accidents and repairs and things like that at McLaren facilities over the years. And we've just, recently had family members go through significant heart events. So we recognize how important it is to have best in class healthcare in this community. And so for us, having the opportunity to show our appreciation to those providers that take such good care of our families is, I just think it's something that everyone really needs to step up and take a responsibility for when they're able to. And so Stephanie and I have really been thankful that we're in a position to do that with McLaren. And we thank you guys for the investment you're making in our community to make it better.
Wonderful. Well, I mentioned that the foundation is involved in a $10 million capital campaign, which can seem like a drop in the bucket to a $600 million project. But one of the ways we use gifts from people like your family and many others in the community is kind of for those extras. And so the last few years, we've been able to grant money back to the hospital for things like infant warmers, art, which we'll talk a little bit about later on. We fully funded the Sacred Space in Chapel, which is a beautiful area of respite for both staff and patient and visitors that need to just kind of get away, take a breath, recenter, because whether you're working here or visiting here or being treated here, it can be a stressful time. And so the foundation really wanted to provide a very special space for people just to take a break, take a breath. We also recently purchased a new 3D mammography unit so that our community can continue to get the very best diagnostic treatments and make sure that we are doing everything we can for our community to keep them safe and healthy. In addition to what we do for the hospital, the foundation is also connected to the community, and we've done things like nursing scholarships. We've had actually during COVID, we did quite a bit of funding for, PPE and things like that. And recently we received a gift from a family that allowed us to purchase t-shirts for all of our nurses for Nurses Week, thanking them for the job that they do every day. So just a little plug for people that might wonder where their contributions go if they give to McLaren. So Kirk, we've talked a little bit about what makes the healthcare campus special in terms of the construction project, but what makes it special for our patients? What's happening on the campus that will make people want to choose our healthcare facility for their needs?
Yeah, I mentioned this during an interview more recently, and the one thing that really comes to mind is access. That the site was chosen for a prospective reason, and where it's going to be located off of the interstate. If you think about it and you draw a circle around Lansing, you're a 15-minute drive maximum at any point around the city to the new campus. So it was all about being able to be accessible off of the highway. The work that was done on the infrastructure around the campus, like the new roundabout off Forest and Collins, in terms of accessibility and increasing safety around the new campus, I think is something special. So just getting there and making it more accessible. And then as you go in through the doors, and the front door of the hospital is the emergency department. And the one thing that we're always trying to be focused on here at McLaren is our throughput in the emergency room. We don't want patients waiting. We don't want patients leaving because they have to wait. And so the way the emergency services department was designed was really about trying to improve throughput on segregating behavioral health incidents. We have a separate unit that's going to be operational in that new emergency department, being able to get timely tests back from an imaging standpoint. So there's a separate and distinct imaging department that's embedded in the new emergency room to be able to get CT scans or general ultrasounds or radiology back in a very timely fashion. They're not having to leave the department. We think that's going to help improve throughput, to the fact that we've got an upfront triage element designed into this, which is our vertical express unit for patients that aren't truly emergent and need a bed, that can be triaged in for treatment and then released in a very timely fashion. So for me, it's about access. It's about being able to get in and get out and get treated with respect and get it done quickly. And so I think we're going to be able to produce a very highly productive emergency services department once we move to the new campus. In addition to that, and these were some of the things that came as a little bit of an afterthought, are some more areas of respite designed into this campus. You'd mentioned it earlier about the need for family members, employees, our providers to be able to just get away sometimes. And so the way this campus was designed, everything from the cafeteria, which is going to be phenomenal, with different cooking stations, to a courtyard that's going to be directly adjacent outside there, to be able to access a Walgreens in the outpatient care center. All of these things that we don't currently have in two campuses, we'll have in one, for employees to be able to just get away and make things a little bit more convenient, for family members to be able to get away and make things a little bit more convenient, and be able to take a deep breath and kind of get back to what they need to get back to and focus. So I really feel good about the access to the river trails eventually, the way the campus is set up to be able to get out and walk and get a breath of fresh air. I just think these are some things that may seem like they're not a big deal, but they really are a big deal when patients are accessing healthcare, and I think differentiates us from other healthcare systems.
Absolutely. I know the cafeteria not being in the basement is a huge piece of excitement for our staff.
That's a win, definite win.
Pete, your family gift, you chose to kind of be recognized on the second floor in our of the new hospital in our surgical lounge. Can you tell me why you chose that area?
Well, just from personal experience, I view that as the most stressful event for the family. You know, when you have a loved one that's going through a significant procedure, you may be in there for several hours, and you're constantly looking at a trying to get a screen, look at a screen. What's the status? What's going on? You just want it. We wanted to be able to have that area, have investments there so McLaren could make that a comfortable space, and to locate it in a area of the hospital that gets a very easy access, as Kirk was talking about, to some of those amenities like the cafeteria and the courtyard, or a walking trail, and just getting some fresh air, but having that family area be something that is a comfortable touchdown space for a family while they're going through that stressful time. Everything's stressful in a hospital, but I think for me and my family, that's been the most significant area for us in the past. And I wanted to kind of touch back on what Kirk was saying about what's special for the patients in this hospital. The other thing personally, and for me, being able to be involved all the way from the beginning, when there were no lines on the paper yet, really coming in with some recommendations to McLaren and things that they were already thinking. But we've developed this hospital so there's it's such a public facing venue. From the time a patient or a family member caretaker comes into the facility, it's all right in front of you. You come in, you're welcomed, you're oriented, you get direct access, whether it's to the reception and reporting area, to the emergency room, or to surgery. It's all right at the front of the building, and we call that the on stage and off stage. I can't tell you how many hospitals I've been in, and I know my way around hospitals. You get lost, and it's such a maze, and it's so confusing. So when Kirk says access, it's really access and wayfinding and comfort to be able to navigate your way around a very uncomfortable environment when you're a family member going through it. So those are, to me, some of the things that I think the public is going to enjoy the most. Obviously, getting state-of-the-art healthcare is pretty darn important, Kirk. That's pretty good. But to be able to do it in an environment that you are comfortable in, McLaren's doing it right.
And don't forget one damn big staircase.
And a good staircase.
Elegant staircase. Yeah.
Both. It's large and elegant.
Yes.
Well, Pete, from a kind of a Kramer management standpoint, I mean, you're obviously involved in many, many, many large projects. Is there something about this space that compared to others, you feel especially proud of or excited about?
Wow. That's really hard to answer. I said a little bit earlier about how unique this project was, and to be able to do it right in our backyard. But I, just kind of going through some annual reporting recently, over the last 7.5 years, we've been fortunate to put in place, including the Lansing Hospital, over $1.2 billion worth of healthcare facilities across the state for McLaren. And I can tell you, every single one of those, whether it's in Lapeer or Macomb or Port Huron or Petoskey or Bad Hacks or Toledo, every single one of them is transformational for the communities McLaren serves in their own way. And so we've really been fortunate to do some special things for the communities, and really just fortunate that McLaren has taken these last 7-8 years to invest in delivering healthcare across the state. I don't know the numbers of the number of lives that McLaren touches every year, but I know the facilities that they do it in, and to be able to continuously improve those is really, really important. And so we've been very fortunate to have that relationship, and hope to continue that.
Absolutely. Well, one of the, every gift that we get towards this campaign is special, to be sure. But one of the gifts that we got recently that I think kind of speaks to what you were saying about the impact that McLaren makes on everyone it touches. We received a $1 million commitment from Dr. Mike and Jane Harani. And Mike was a physician here
Nice.
that practiced many, many years. I'm sure many people watching this know him. He still
Right.
spends time in Lansing, and they really wanted to give back to the place that, you know, kind of made his career, and then also make sure that the people that he cares about in the greater Lansing region get the cutting edge healthcare in a very, very welcoming environment. And so I did just want to give a public thank you to the Haranis for that extremely generous gift. Not only is it a big number, but it was very heartfelt, and that means a lot to us.
That's fantastic. I hadn't heard that. Was exciting to hear.
That's
I'm
the
just
first time I've said it out loud.
and tell you a quick story. When Stephanie and I moved back, when Stephanie and I moved back to the community in early, gosh, I guess it was late 1997 or so, Jane and Mike were very, very involved with it at the time, the Ingham Foundation. And so our entire time living back here since being out of town for a while, they've really been leaders in the community in this regard. And it's really nice to hear that they're still involved and still taking care of our community like that. Very exciting.
Yep,
It was
absolutely.
a fantastic gift. I thought I misread it when Lynn sent that out yesterday. So it was a pleasant surprise.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wonderful. All right, so Pete, we asked Kirk this back in May, but I didn't have a chance to ask you, what is your favorite McLaren Greater Lansing Foundation event?
Oh gosh. Well, you know how much everyone loves to put on a tux and a bow tie and do all that kind of stuff, but can you see that? McLaren loves Lansing.
Very nicely
Drinking out
done.
of it right now.
Hopefully it's something
Water
good,
this time,
Pete.
but I'd rather put on a pair of shorts and hang out with a bunch of people and have fun. That event has just become a refreshing fundraiser where you can just kind of let off some steam, hang out, and have a good time, and,
Yeah.
really enjoy that one for some reason. Just fun to hang out.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny. You could play back my answer, and I think it was probably 90% similar to what you
was.
just said. We're in suit and ties all day long anyway, so
I am
flip-flops and shorts.
very
I'm good
much.
with.
I am very much looking forward to one on January 29th, though.
Thank you for the plug. Yes, the grand
Are
opening.
you wearing
gala.
flip-flops to that too?
I could. Is that authorized?
You wear whatever you want.
Yeah, we are having a grand opening gala on January 29th. So really great opportunity to see the hospital before it's fully operational. And obviously after that, you don't want to be here, but it's going to be a fabulous night. And we're really looking forward to opening our doors to the community. And, you know, they're not like going to be able to see the hospital, but by attending, they're also supporting the hospital as well, because it is a fundraiser for the foundation. So really looking forward to January 29th.
All right, Lynn, you've been asking all the questions, so I get to ask you one. You guys have been so focused on the hospital project and the campaign for care. What goes next? What do you see yourself what do you see the foundation focusing on next?
Oh, I thought we were done after that.
Yeah.
Well, we're actually working with our foundation board to develop a new strategic plan to guide our focus, but we see a lot of opportunity in the education area. Never before has the general population understood the importance of our healthcare workers and making sure that people that work in healthcare are supported. And so I feel like education and you know, whether that's scholarships, helping pay back student loans, incentives for the right clinicians, I think we really want to get involved in that, because we've built the building now, right? So now I feel like the foundation should help support all of the people that are going to be there every day, making a career out of our healthcare system, and, you know, caring for all of us and our families. So I would say education is going to be a big piece of that. And then I personally, and I know the whole team here loves being able to say yes to Kirk when he says we need this new piece of technology or equipment. And we know with the building completion, those opportunities are going to become more and more frequent, because we want to be cutting edge, and things aren't always in the budget. And so the foundation loves being a resource for the hospital in times when they need funding for whatever it is to make care better here. So I'm looking just as forward to the next 5 years.
That's awesome. You all do a great job. And I just want to say one final thing. As we're coming to a close on this, it's probably one of the most exciting times in my career. Pete alluded to this. I mean, it's something that aligns in terms of stars. Not often you get a capstone opportunity like this as a healthcare administrator. And so we're months away from seeing our first patient on this new campus. And you can't imagine the work that went into this and continues to go into this. I jokingly think of Kramer management as my big brother that has to tell me every now and then something I don't want to hear, but it's the right thing. and they've done a phenomenal job guiding us through this entire process. And it makes our jobs as administrators that much more manageable, especially when we need to keep the trains running on time in our existing facilities. And so I just want to say thank you to the Kramer management group. I also want to personally thank you and Stephanie for the donation to the foundation. I can't thank you enough for that and how much that means for McLaren and myself personally. And I was here at the outset of these Gratituesdays. This is the last one. So that means the finish line is getting close and I can't be more excited. And it's been a great team effort to get to where we are.
Wonderful. Thank you guys both so much for being here. And I'm going to turn it back over to Nicole.
All right. Well, that was great. Thank you so much, Kirk and Pete. And I have to say, I've got my, we can't really see, I've got my cup too.
Great.
So McLaren loves
Disappearing
Lansing.
cup.
Cheers.
It's magic. It's
Cheers.
what I do. Well, I just wanted to show everyone, how much progress we've made since we were able to talk to Kirk last in May with the drone footage that we've had over the last few months. And, you've got the one on the left, you can see the cancer center and outpatient care center weren't even complete. And on the right now, you can see obviously everything's finished up on the outside. You got our amazing parking deck on the backside. So yeah, it's quite incredible where we've come, and it's amazing every day. Every week we're there and we see something different, and there's a wall that wasn't there before. There's a door that wasn't there before. Our route's always different when we're bringing donors through. So we're really excited about that for sure. So I did have a couple questions for you guys that I thought some of those that are watching might be interested in. So Kirk, one of the questions that Lynn and I get the most when we're meeting with donors is what is going to happen with the 2 current campuses? And I was wondering if you could give us an update on that.
Yes, some of that's still, I wouldn't say up in the air, but the plan is obviously to really work to try and divest both campuses and those assets. On the Green Lawn campus, we continue to work with the state on trying to bring as many adolescent psych services that are much needed in the state of Michigan there through appropriation help, obviously, but to make that campus kind of pad ready for those types of adolescent psych services. And so we're making some progress there. None of that's official yet. But it is something that we're continuing to focus on. At the end of the day, we've committed to the city that if we were unable to do anything in terms of offloading the assets, that we would make sure that that doesn't become a blight in either one of those campuses, and that we would ultimately demolition the buildings to green space to at least make it a nice park area. The Pennsylvania campus, we're working with real estate to try and sell the campus. We've got some potential post-acute buyers that are interested in that. Along with some of the other areas of property in and around both of those campuses. So a lot of work being done there. That's a work in progress. I mean, there's much planning and whatnot that has to go into that in terms of repurposing those. I know Pete's leading that process as well. And we've got a third party that's coming in to do an assessment of the Green Lawn campus around those adolescent and behavioral health services, along with an engineering assessment on how we can manage the utilities for any potential new buyers of the property.
Great. Wow, that's incredible. And I know the community is so invested in what we're doing. And so I'm sure they're going to be happy to hear that we obviously want to make sure we're repurposing those buildings in an appropriate way. So that's great. Lynn, I wrote this question before we got our $1 million gift yesterday. So maybe you can talk a little bit about some of the opportunities for giving that we have left, since our biggest opportunity was just reserved yesterday from Dr. Harani and Jane.
Yep. Well, certainly there's opportunity for philanthropic dollars to, help make any space in the hospital better. So if you're interested in cancer care, if you've got, Pete mentioned, cardiovascular issues that maybe family members have been through. There's always opportunities to improve space. We work really closely with our physicians and other clinical partners to identify, needs that they have, or even, pie in the sky dreams for technology and equipment. And that's what the foundation is here for. So I would encourage anyone who's interested to reach out, because whether it's, pediatrics, research, I mean, there's stuff happening in every area. And then also just in the short term, our gala is coming up on January 29th, and I would love to see everyone in the community that's able to attend that, because it's going to be a unique experience to party in a hospital, which not many of us have done before. So that would be my two asks.
Great. Well, Pete, what about you? So what's something from this project that you can take with you to other projects?
Boy, survival is one. I'm going to be able to survive this project and take that on. But more specifically, this project, I think McLaren taught me on this project. We invested over $2 million in process improvement before we even put the first pen to paper. So McLaren set the tone of what they wanted this project to be right from the very beginning, that they wanted this to not be, hey, how do I take two campuses and do everything I'm doing there and recreate it at a different location just because I want something bright and shiny. They said, how do we take every single thing that we do, make it better, make it more efficient, make it better for the patients, the staff, the caretakers, and improve the way we deliver healthcare. And you stayed true to that. And so to the extent that I can take that on with me in my career and use that advice for other projects going forward, I think is really one of the most significant things to take forward is begin with the end in mind. And McLaren really did that here.
That's great. Yeah, I think, you're a great sounding board, and I've watched you and Kirk interact over the last couple of years. And I think, there's a professional friendship, but obviously a personal one as well. So I think that's really important. So I'm glad you can take that to other projects. So, Lynn, we've been working to recognize our donors and share the history of McLaren going back all the way to the beginning with Ingham County Tuberculosis Sanatorium in 1913. Do you want to talk a little bit about our donor and our history walls and where those are going to be located and why we think it's important to recognize our donors?
Yeah, absolutely. So Kirk in the hospital board was kind enough to allow the foundation some really prominent space near the entrance and the hallway leading to the ER to recognize our past, our history, and also honor the donors that helped us get where we are. And so we have a really interesting timeline and artifacts and photos, like you said, that goes all the way back to when we were a tuberculosis hospital to, the completion of the new hospital that's, right at our fingertips. And so we're very excited about that. Part of that history wall also will include a list of donors that have given to the hospital in previous campuses. So we had a lot of donors who contributed to Pennsylvania and Green Lawn campuses over the decades. And we wanted to make sure that even though we're not here anymore, we still recognize that it was their generosity that got us to our new space. And so we'll recognize legacy donors in our history wall. And then our donor wall is really meant to be a showpiece because we think our donors deserve that. And so we will recognize donors at every level. And as you can see in the visual, we're trying to convey that gifts really impact people, that we may use them for bricks and mortar at times, but it's our caregivers and our patients, whether the brand new little newborn babies to someone that might be at the end of their life. We are proud that our donors are here for all of them. And we wanted to make sure we did something spectacular to honor that generosity. So it will be very prominently placed in the hospital. And hopefully if you have a reason to be at McLaren, you will stop by and see all the names that you recognize.
Absolutely. I'm excited about those two pieces. They're going to be great. Before we wrap up, we've all touched on it a little bit, but I'm going to give one last plug. We do have our grand opening gala coming up in a few weeks. It's going to be Saturday, January 29th. It will be at the new hospital. This is your first opportunity that anyone will have to see this brand new state-of-the-art hospital before it opens to the public in March. You can find more information about sponsorship opportunities and tickets at mglcampaignforcare.com. As I mentioned earlier, this is our final Gratituesday webinar, but we will continue to give you updates in the coming months with our new Little More with Lynn series that's going to be coming up later this year. We're very excited about that. Happy Tuesday, and I look forward to seeing you all on January 29th. Thank you so much, Kirk and Pete. We appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
and I'll be there.
Wonderful. Thanks.